Yo, in the last few days I've seen Nanakash get too much free RP in my rank matches, so I'm making this video to put an end to this madness, and that way my rank teammates can have a little bit more knowledge about each character in the game, which will surely prevent me from getting any more -55s, which make me really sad every time I queue up. Another thing that makes me really sad is that 96% of you who are currently watching are not subscribed, so if you could change that number, it would make me really happy. With that said, let's get into the video. By the way, this video will be cut into two parts because there is a lot of characters in the game, so I'm splitting it between two videos that I'll be releasing across the week. With that being said, our first category we're going to be covering will be the terrain category, also known as wall stuns, or people that essentially want to fight in certain scenarios or locations. The easiest one to understand will be Hyun-woo, but simply a simple dash that will drag the enemy with them, and if it lands into a wall, it will stun them. After that, he will usually follow it up with his ult, which will defense shred you, so then his entire team gets to follow it up and usually kill the target. Hyun-woo's usually run blink alongside this in order to get angles for you to get you into a wall, so you have to be very careful and space away from them very well in order to avoid this. But if they happen to miss it, then they will be in a bad spot, so then you can punish them for it. Next up we have Magnus, who similarly to Hyun-woo also has a knockback. His is point and click, and it will only push you towards the left side of him, so at first it will be a little weird to get used to, but the more you see it, the more it will make sense, where he can only push it to his left side, and it's simple wall stun. It doesn't really get that big follow-up like Hyun-woo does, but it can still be very bad for you if you happen to be in that scenario. Sometimes he doesn't need to wall stun you if you're towards its left and he gets to knock you back into his team. That can also be pretty bad, so you just be aware of it. The next character we have will be Leon. Leon similarly also likes walls because of his ultimate, where he can knock back multiple people in his wave, and if he gets them into a wall, then it will be doing extra damage and it will knock them a little bit longer duration. The other thing I wanted to cover for Leon is his puddles. Leon put water in the ground, and then if you stand on top of them, or even if you don't stand on top of them, he always has a chance of using them to go through them, and doing that he's immune, and then he gets to knock you up. So for the most part, when you're fighting a Leon, you don't really want to you don't want to stand on the water, otherwise you're gonna get him a free knock up, and then he can combo it into his ult, and then if there's a wall nearby, you're in a very bad spot. So that, for the most part, don't stand on the water. Similar to another character who doesn't want you to stand on things, we have Elena. Elena is a little bit trickier. The walls don't really matter that much for Elena, but if you're in a close space, she can be really bad to fight. Pretty much, she makes ice puddles under the people, and if you stand on top of them, you will start to charge, I guess, until you get frozen by her. And then she can break the frozen for extra damage, or she can just leave you frozen for a little bit for CC, whatever she needs. Puddles are created when she hits her Q, as well as when you hit her. So essentially a lot of puddles are going to be created, and not only you don't want to stand on them, but Elena wants to stand on them because it lowers the cooldown of her W. So for the most part, you just want to get the fuck out of the puddles no matter what. So just get out of them. Don't want to be on them. Elena wants to be on them. You don't want to be on them. Next category that we have is the ult category. So these are characters that have a big advantage when they are in their ult burst. And when they're out of it, they are not so good, or not as dangerous, I guess. The first one that I want to show will be Bianca. Bianca's ult, she does this big circle that she pushed. She can dash while casting this as well. It has a first cast when she puts it down, and that does damage, and then it will start going through, and then it will do another big splash of damage, and it will also heal her a lot. So for the most part, Bianca's gonna go in, take a good amount of damage while going in, put her ult down. The first cast will almost always hit you if she did a good job, and then you want to get out of the ult before the second cast goes through, because otherwise she's gonna pretty much heal to full if she hits anything inside of that second part of her ultimate. During the part where she goes in, she also usually runs totem, or sometimes she just goes in her coffin, where she takes a lot less damage, so she's not really killable right there. They also try to root you with their Q, so you don't get to go out of the ult, so be careful when she ults, as she might try to toss her Q, which is just a projectile. That way she gets to root you inside of the ult. Next, we have Barbara ult. So Barbara ult can do two things. It could be a really good disengage tool if she decides to use it. If she decides to use it with her lasers, she gets to spam lasers and anything that's nearby and do a lot of damage to it. This is a way to use it as a disengage tool. And then there's a more popular way of using it as an engage tool. Pretty much the way it works is Barbara will press R and then she will spawn her turret and then it will teleport her to her turret and make it explode, doing a lot of damage. So for the most part, if you see Barbara cast R, there's a delay between actually TPs onto the turret and makes it explode. And that's the part of the delay you want to avoid. And then after Barbara doesn't have ult, that is her big burst, you're in a lot better spot to fight her. Ult cooldown is very slow, very low, so she will have it back up if the fight takes too long. So you want to make sure you punish her quickly if you're gonna punish her off of missing the ult or dodging the ult. Next, another character of ult that you should be careful with will be Chloe. Chloe, her ult makes her pretty much unkillable for a few seconds. The way the Chloe ult works, so there's two main things. One, how do you actually kill Chloe? Easy answer. You have to deplete both of her HP and the doll's HP in order to kill her. So if your character doesn't have good AoE damage or your entire team is not focused on her, you're not going to kill her. But that's why most people say if you see an opening to poke the doll HP, you should poke the doll HP, because after that, when she ults, then she's only... like, you only need to focus on Chloe at that point, and that's a lot easier to deal with. But you have to kill both if you want to kill them during ult. Optionally, you can wait it out until her ult runs out, and then that way, after the ult is on, she's killable again, and you can just go kill her. And the other thing about her ult that a lot of people don't pay attention to and should be mentioned is that when she ults, the rope between her and the doll deals a lot of damage. So don't stand between her and the doll. It will fucking melt you. It's really bad to stand between her and the doll. So that's Chloe. I know everybody loves our ADC Tryndamere, but it's fine. Next, we have another similar ult where a lot of people get confused on how it works, and that is Kiara. So Kiara ult, she's gonna cast it, and you're gonna see there's a big circle around her, and then she's gonna go on crazy mode. And pretty much the way it works is if you stay in the circle, the ult duration gets extended. So as long as someone is in range of her circle, she can keep using, like, her ult will keep going, and then this will start putting marks on you, and she gets to recast her ult in order to do damage based on how many marks are on you. And if that reactivation kills you, her ult continues pretty much. Now, if she uses the reactivation and it doesn't kill, then the ult is over, even if you are still in range of people. So the two best ways to deal with this are pretty simple. One, get outside of the ult range or deal a lot of damage to her. That way she is forced to use the reactivation or get away, because she's actually not tanky. So you can actually hurt her quite a bit. And then second, the other way is to make sure you survive her ult recast. If you have any sort of like healing, parry, any invulnerability, totem, stasis, if you have anything like that in your kit and you see Kiara reactivating her ult, you should use it to like make sure the second reactivation doesn't kill you, because as soon as that doesn't kill you, her ult is over, and Kiara without ult is very easy to deal with. So for the most part, just focus on those things. The last two for our ult category, we have Yan. Yan's ult is a big ring that he puts around him that he uses to combo you. For the most part, most Yans will flash onto you and then knock you up, then use his ring, and then he will start knocking you against the ring walls. For the most part, the moment you see Yan go up to you and use his ultimate, you want to immediately get out of the ultimate by any means possible. Otherwise, you're going to get perma-stun and perma-combo to death in that place. And you want to play outside of his ultimate. His ultimate also gives him 3 stacks for the rest of his abilities. So not just like the ultimate, like while you're in there, but even with the ultimate just existing, he is getting value out of it. So you want to make sure the ultimate fully expires before Yan loses full power from it. And then we have Marcus. Marcus ult is a lot more of an engage that you should be careful with. It's this big cone, or yeah, it's a big cone. Pretty much, if he hits you with this big cone, he's then gonna go up to you and try to use his W, which usually it's just a knock up. But if he does it after he ults you, it will actually knock you back behind him, which I call a burger flip. He'll burger flip you into his team, pretty much. So it's a pretty strong engage tool. So pretty much whenever you see a Marcus ult you, you know for a fact he's gonna go towards you and try to burger flip you. So you want to make sure he doesn't, like, you dodge his knock up, getting away from him. Next we have the Enrage category, but I actually put Jackie in here. A lot of people don't understand how to fight against Jackie properly, so I'm here to explain how. Mainly the ability they don't understand, that I think they should have used a lot more, is W. The way Jackie works, it's very simple. If Jackie hits you with her abilities, either her autos when she's using her ult or her Q, she's gonna make you bleed. After she makes you bleed, she's gonna activate her W, which is a movement speed increase towards bleeding targets. You should time this out. This, like, you use whatever you have after you see her movement speed increase start to make sure she doesn't kill you, and that way you can, like, space out of her. She heals a lot when W is active. Not only she gets a movement speed steroid, but she also heals for whatever damage she deals onto you. So trying to outtrade her damage, it's never worth it. Just try to space away from her and time out the W, because after this movement speed increase and she already uses her jump, she doesn't really have much left to stick on you. And you can kite her a lot easier, and you can play against her a lot easier. Now be careful. If she does manage to kill you, she then gets her jump reset, and then she can go and jump onto the next target and just do the same thing to them. So make sure you don't go down. Another character for the Enrage category of characters that are really strong for a certain period of time and then they're weak would be Ekyon. I would say it's the primarily and the most easiest to understand out of everybody in this category. It's kind of made for him in a sense. For the most part, Ekyon hits abilities and has a meter under his HP bar. Once he charges, it will make him enrage. When he's enraged, he can only use his R button and his E. Usually most Ekyons currently are running the red Ekyon one you see. And pretty much he's going to cast his R, and then that has a two part of it that will then knock you up if you stand on it. So you want to make sure you walk out of it, that way you don't get knocked up. But not only that, while Ekyon is on enrage mode, his bar will slowly deplete until he's no longer in enrage. When he goes out of enrage, there's a period where he can't generate any more meter to go back into rage mode, and all his abilities are a lot less effective. His dash is really bad, his Q is non-existent. He's just not a character for a few moments. Can use his D skill to make the time that he's weak a lot shorter, if not just nullify it completely, but that depends if he used D skill during the fight or not. But just know that it exists and you can punish him, and you should be playing very careful with his rage. You should also be playing aware of his rage mechanic if you're playing with him. You don't really want to go in without Ekyon being in rage, or you don't really want to go in when Ekyon just went out of rage mode. So make sure you're doing that if you're playing with them. The last character of the Enrage category is Leon. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about this character and really don't know what the fuck is going on with them. Because, well, this is a character that I consider in the Enrage category. She goes in and out of her form every 2 seconds, pretty much. And that is because people don't really understand how this character works. The way this character works, for the most part, the easiest way I can explain it is she works with being in combat. And that is all this character is all about. If this character goes in combat, then she's a character. If this character goes out of combat, she's no longer a character. So for the most part, Leanne's whole thing, once again, similar to Ekyon, is she has a bar that she wants to fill to half, and then she gets to transform and have a lot of stronger abilities. So how does this bar filling work? She can only fill her bar if she is in combat. If she's out of combat, she can't fill bar. But if she is in combat, for example, if you hit her and she goes in combat, then she can toss her abilities, not even landing them, just into the air, and it will give her bar to transform and then go and actually be a character and destroy your team. So that is one big aspect of her. One of the most egregious things that you could do against this character is one, using cameras. So this character does have the skill, which does make her invisible. But if you use cameras against her, she's gonna hit the camera, and hitting a camera, not only just because she's dealing damage, she's gonna get meter, but also it puts her in combat, which means she's gonna get a free transformation off of it. Similarly, if you're gonna be poking her, but not dealing like a massive amount of damage with your poke, if it's a very small poke, like if you're a tank, then I wouldn't do it necessarily. Like if I can avoid it, I wouldn't, because then once again you put her in combat, and then she can start getting transformation, and then she becomes a real character. The other part that a lot of people mess up fighting this character or don't understand is her ultimate. The way her ultimate works is she gets a little bit of an iframe when she casts it. So she usually uses it when she goes pretty low for two reasons. One, she gets the iframe to dodge something that might have killed her. Or two, when she goes into this mode, all she can do is auto attack. She can no longer use abilities. But she lifesteals a lot during, like, when she's on this, and after a few autos she will fear you. When she's on her ultimate, she has this big circle around her, and for the most part she can't get out of the circle. If she does get out of the circle, she will go back to normal human form and her ult will end. Additionally, if she, after a bit, the ult will just end, it will just time out. And if you kill her during during ult, she will go back to where the ult started at the middle of the circle. The best way to deal with this ultimate is to either CC her, kite her because she can only auto, or get out of the circle. Those are your three best options. A lot of people just try to, like, for example, if there's like a melee tank and there's a backline carry and the carry is kiting her, sometimes I see the melee tank try to go help and help the carry and then 2v1 her, but then the melee person is just being free lifesteal for this character when they could have just leave the ADC to do it, and the ADC could have easily kited them. So just make sure she's not in melee range of you hitting you. That's just really bad. She lifesteals way too much, and she gets the fear free. It's just not good. So those are the main things. Her rage form works by being in combat, and her ultimate you want to be really careful with. It's a really big threat. But yeah, I hope this helped you, and my teammates in my rank matches will now know a little bit more about the characters and stop going in when Ekion just went out of rage, and that my teammates don't put cameras in front of Leon. That immediately makes me lose the fight, and then I lose -55, and then I'm sad for the night. I hope this doesn't happen anymore, and I hope everybody else has a beautiful day. If you find anything useful, please like and subscribe. I really need it. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.